that Lucia cannot always be piloted to success, but because the Senna's left open, that is what they secure.
I love the prioritization here from T1. Senna is such a safe lane. You can pair it with either a Nasus or a Set. Make that 2v2 incredibly aggressive. Now, when we look at the WRL, the most common denominator for the rest of the entire top side to mid side move around the map is having a wave clear champion at the bottom portion. So Corki is also one of them, Lux is one of them, Ziggs is one of them. So I wouldn't exactly pinpoint this Corki to be bot, as it still can be towards mid.
Yeah, Pan can take it for his own, run that Hull Breaker Black Cleaver build that we've been seeing out of so many Corki mids recently. I know Stuart over on the analyst desk has not been a fan of the Hull Breaker Corki because he's like, but my boy Corki can do so much more damage with the crit build. But it happens, man. You just gotta get with the times and adapt with the meta. Nasus finally see it locked alongside BDG for Penguin here. Now T1, they can lock down a priority jungle pick before they move on to the ban phase. Now this Jace, not only a takeaway from Pan, but also a flex pick for T1.
Yeah, this is super interesting. You're right. This still can be towards John. This still be towards core. So the jungler still can be a little bit more compressed, or rather targeted at the, the next few banning phases. I mean, I can imagine still Olaf being very important. Olaf has been one of these strong champions, especially against melee comps, or Xin Zhao as well against double AD carry composition. And as I say that, I feel like Xin Zhao could be the next thing J-Team could ban.
Now the question here is, we would imagine that the Corki would be slotted towards Barry because of the wave clear to answer back against Senna and Nasus, but what are the chances that J-Team, because they are known for accelerating the early game, what if they take the Lucian towards the bottom side of the map? Because we have seen Lucian mid not really find any success, not being used to leverage its priority in the mid lane. It gets answered back by so many other picks. I want to see if J-Team are going to actually change the pattern here.
Yeah, it makes me wonder, right? Because it will depend what the Lucian's going to be paired with, if it's indeed going to be at in the mid lane. And for now, the Ziggs now off of the table. So what is your mid lane wave clear? Because we've talked about this before, that if you do not have wave clear, that means you can't exactly respond and move proactively in the map. Early game.
Yeah, and with the Ziggs ban as well, I'm actually inclined to believe that it could be a Corki mid instead for Pan, because if you have the advantageous wave clear, you are guaranteed priority, whereas Lucian doesn't necessarily have insane wave clear, but he has insane trading potential. But Ziggs, you can always safely interact with the lane by just saying, no, I'm just going to throw out my spells, and then you can't really affect me, Lucian.
Yeah, so I guess there's that flexibility power that the Lucian and the Corki has, right? Because there's a potential that we may see a Zed again, because I can see a world where T1 is going to initiate a 1-3-1 composition, but so far with this Wukong pick, which, I'm so used to seeing the monkey being paired with someone like a Yasuo or a big Wombo combo heavy composition. That's why, well, Diana's not going to fit here. I guess my biggest question would be, what is the support for J-Team?
The fact that we have waited until the very end of the draft phase for DY tells me that they might have something special planned. Answering back into T1, Renekton for Zhong, Jax for JY respectively. It's a triple melee bruiser coming from the top side of T1, paired with Senna. This is a composition for T1 that thrives when all the bruisers can move forward.
Yeah, but my question would be, how are you going to engage? It's so very difficult to hold targets down. Yes, you have the easy stun coming from the Renekton. You do have that root coming from the Senna. But for me to see this as a team fighting composition, as a 5v5, it doesn't really mesh well up against J-Team, who has engage, disengage, a lot of damage output from the Lucian and the Corki. So right now, I'm favoring heavily on J-Team just because, aside from ease of execution, they have it all, Rafa.
Engage from the Wukong, as you already pointed out, and this pairing with the Braum as well. You have ways to whittle down the melee bruisers as they come into you, and you have so much zone control as well between the package, the Glacial Fit. Strong of an early game, and J-Team are looking to take advantage of that as we head in to Game 1 between T1 and J-Team.
This is going to be incredibly important. The BO3 series, we already saw basically JDG, Nova heading into, advancing into their groups. Now the only one left so far in our play-ins from the WRL is J-Team. If they win this, everyone from the WRL is going to be present.
And what a statement that would be from the WRL to have every single representative make it to the group stage. Not only just the fact that they are there, but as the #1 seeds from each of their respective play-in groups. Remember, J-Team, this is technically the 5th seed from China, as OMG couldn't make it due to complications, but J-Team have done a fantastic job representing their region well, but J-Team is not a team that you want to sleep on. You saw how well they were able to punish Rix with the late game macro decision making.
And it just makes so much sense. T1 with the Jax. We see the Jax as that answer, that late game scaling, and you have the Renekton to answer, to help transition from early to mid game. So in the play style, in the context of how T1 and the WCK plays, this composition makes so much sense in an Elder Drake standpoint where JY is just gonna wreak havoc. But it's always that biggest question, how will you reach the double range? Top side though, this could be dangerous for Jong.
Jong understanding the assignment, he wants to get away from Cherry, but Cherry on the Wukong looking to bonk himself one more time, but the Ignite from Jong is going to force Cherry away. He did not willingly want to go for the trade on the tower.
I know, it felt like, I felt like it was a cool guys don't look at explosions moment, but I guess not. The Ignite tick wasn't enough.
Cherry ensuring that Dawn can get some plates stacked back. 1500 HP already down on the tower. JY is forced to respond. Make sure that the wave doesn't continue crashing into the tower, picks up some experience, but already we're seeing the J-Team experience with the early game come to fruition.
It's crazy. They've managed to get well, 1 or 2 turret plates there for Dawn and for Cherry, and I think that's really good for the early game, right? So for the WRL, even though they're losing kills, even though they're not getting kills, they get gold elsewhere. And I think that's the biggest challenge a lot of the teams have to face against the WRL teams.
Taking a moment to breathe here as T1 was able to neutralize J-Team's first strike against them. It did not net them first blood. We're about to hit the 3-minute mark, still 2 minutes away from major objective play. Right now, only components being completed.
I have a question for you, Rafa.
What's up?
How do you feel about Braum?
You mean Kangas? I mean, he's a good-looking dude. I mean, what about him?
I mean, Rafa, the champion. The champion.
Oh, the support for J-Team.
Yes.
My bad. See,
the
thing
DY
is,
there.
I look at Kangas and Braum, and they just start to blend together at this point.
Understandable.
I will say, Braum historically has paired super well with ranged marksmen, like the Corki and the Lucian, especially because you get that double tap passive, so you're able to proc concussive blows earlier, and it allows you to give yourselves ways to kite out these melee bruisers from T1 later the game goes on.
That is true. And for me, I like how, because you see the Braum and the Lucian together in one composition, even though they're not in the same, lane. Hold that thought, though. I think they're fine. No one's going to hold them down, so they're just going to walk away.
I don't think JY appreciated that from Fan there.
No, but he was trying to get the Rift Scuttler. But I want to share my feelings about Braum, Rafa. I want to share.
You're still on this Braum thing? Okay, tell me about the Braum.
I am not a big fan of the Braum, but I do remember a conversation with...
Hold up. Ref, can we pause the game? I need Riku to go up to the stage and tell DY I don't appreciate the Braum pick.
I'm not yet done, because I'm going to pivot. Because the WCS Braums, unfortunately, don't really do much.
So now this has become a WCS Braum support roasting session.
No, wait, let me finish, Rafa. Let me finish.
Okay.
But this Braum doesn't seem too bad now because you have a Wukong that engages for you. Now, Braum doesn't seem too bad in this composition anymore.
So what you're saying is that you're used to Brahms being used as primary engage,
yes.
but Braum doesn't always have...
Like as a standalone.
Yeah. Secondary engage, I completely agree. And I always see Glacial Fissure as a great zoning tool or a disengage tool rather than a primary engage tool because you only get the knock up on the first person, whereas it slows everyone else behind them.
Yes, and I do agree with what you said too, because there's like, what, 4 melee champions on paper, one's half. Top side flash. Dawn's fine.
You know, Dawn did see a enemy opponent there and said, what happened to my 1v1, bro? I thought we had something. We had a mutual understanding.
Nope. Gotta be 1v1, no 1v2s here. Rift Herald, though, already has spawned, so looking at the ult bars, no Hextech ultimatum because it had been used at top.
Dawn is answering back on the Jong, but thankfully from BDG has the Dawning Shadow to keep him topped off in HP. Huge note, Barry had the package available, but wasn't able to force anyone to come through from T1, so they've already expended it. There's an opportunity for T1 to get into this fight. They're forcing them off the Rift Herald, 5,000 HP.
Oh
but Pan coming from the right side, the culling is going to get some chip damage down onto the members of T1. 3,000 HP on the Rift Herald. Jax jumping onto Pan, forcing him away, the dash away, the root is going to hit 2 people, but they're forced back in the choke point. J-Team, strike first for first blood back on the Penguin. They've lost one of their melee bruisers. Here comes the engage from Cherry. Cyclone, knock up on the 2. Here comes JY, but he doesn't get the chance to steal the Rift Herald because it's secured by Cherry. Can they clean up the fight though? T1 still pressing forward. JY cannot get in range. He's only taking out Cherry. A counter-strike, jumping onto the back line. Barry's gone. And now BDG, can he support him up? JY going crazy, finds a double kill in the early game.
That was such a prolonged team fight from both of these teams. At the end of the day, it felt like J-Team had the better deal out of that fight, out of that team fight. They not only get the Rift Herald, but they also get Dawn ahead 2-0-1. But I want to correct myself. On the other side, JY is able to get 3 kills. Let's take a look at that again. It was very prolonged. We got a triple man knockoff coming from the side of Cherry. It worked out so well, but I feel like the problem with the positioning of J-Team is that they were scattered. And if you're scattered, that means the Braum can't exactly be a meat shield for you. But at the end of the day, they're still able to get a lot of kills, and it was even across the board.
See, the beauty of the thing about Braum's shield is that it can block every single projectile, but from one direction. However, when they're coming in from all directions and J-Team isn't all standing behind Braum, it's a little difficult to live up to the mantra.
Exactly, right, Rafa? Stand behind Braum. And now, I thought there was going to be another fight, but Rift Herald unleashed in the mid lane.
Happens to the best of us.
It does. We'll see if there's going to be another fight, though, because that is a tower almost gone. And ult bars are almost up as well. Well, I keep calling it bars. They're circles. They're circles, Riku!
Shapes are hard, Riku. It's okay. That's why we talk about video games and we don't talk about shapes. 8 minutes on the game. 3-3. J-Team on this Ocean Dragon right now. Culling opened up again, once again by Pan. The engage is there from J-Team. They've already taken out Jong. A member down. JY is the first one to move forward, but his counter-strike is spent early. Doesn't matter. He takes out Wukong, but it's a jungler for jungler Jack. Dawn with the Hextech ultimatum, looking for more kills on the Penguin. Eggs him out with the double kill. Pan kiting him out. Core cannot reach the Lucian. Pan gets out alive, and J-Team win the fight.
Phenomenal target prioritization coming from J-Team. They know that JY is the problem and therefore eliminated him right away because he has 3 kills, he's the problem, he's the carry, remove him, problem solved. And on the other side of the spectrum, Dawn is now 402, he is massive, no one can stop him at the moment, especially at this point of the game with his score.
And Jong should know from experience that when a Camille gets fed out of their mind, it is so scary to deal with in those mid and late game team fights. Your hook shot is such a low cooldown, giving you so much mobility to be able to pick and choose your battles. T1 are now starting to run out of options now as we head closer and closer to the mid game, where yes, they are favored the later the game goes on, but you cannot disrespect a Camille that is this big early on.
Oh yeah, for sure. JY though, he's in trouble.
That's a big Cyclone. Knock up down onto JY. He's popped the ultimate. Got some extra resistance. Is good root from BDG. He's going to save his jungler for now.
Really nicely done coming from T1. But going back to what you said, yes, everything when it comes to the late game favors T1. Not only on the side for Jax, but also Senanasis. These are stacking champions. Dawn though with a flank. Wanting to find something.
Yo, relax. There's still a turret there, Dawn. You can't disrespect BDG and Penguin that hard. However, they are corralling them out of the jungle, making sure they are taking every single chicken nugget away from JY, making sure there are no raptors to be left.
Yeah, Dawn's positioning right now is just so good. And 9 seconds on the clock for the Rift Herald to spawn. Everybody's going to reset coming from J-Team, and so far, so good. Dawn is the biggest target right now. He has Hourglass. Once he dives in, stasis, buying some time, make sure that he's safe.
JY has found DY, who wins out on the Ys. Which Y is better? DY is the one that bites the dust first, but the package answer from Barry splits up the fight from T1.
What?
Core's on the wrong side of the tracks, tries to regroup with Jong, but he's flashing over to the backside, forces the trade kill back onto Barry, but now Jong is forced to run away. Pan is calling him down. Meanwhile, Dawn is able to trade multiple kills back. Penguin seems to be the only member alive alongside Core, but once again, J-Team keep pulling further and further for a prime
gaming
ace!
I mean, it's crazy, right? Dawn was 1v4ing people in the back line, so therefore T1's resources was very focused on having to keep Dawn on a tight leash, but instead it was the other way around, and this is just J-Team just so far ahead. This is what we expected, Rafa. The early game coming from J-Team. Now the biggest question is, how can they finish? How can they end this quick?
Taking a look back at their series against BO3 yesterday, J-Team had similar strides against the Brazilian second representative. But J-Team, it took them about 20 to 22 minutes before they could actually efficiently close out the game. So T1, if they bank on that, if they can neutralize the advancements from J-Team and only manage to give up unnecessary structures, they have a way to hold this game out, but it's going to be difficult.
Yeah, they're doing the right things right now.
Jong, you can't escape Hextech Ultimatum. That's an easy pickup for J-Team led by Dawn. Another knockup sentences BDG to death. Rift Herald is charging into the tower. It's going to get one more charge. And T1, they have to respond. You already see JY was looking to trade turrets on the other side of the map, but he has to respond. Rift Herald does not manage to get the trade here. Stasis already on to Jong. Or Core trying to fight his way back. Has the acceleration gate for the shock blast here. Golden goes JY, but he is gunned down before he gets a chance to stay alive. J-Team don't break the base, but they take what they wanted.
Dawn is a dangerous man right now. It only takes 4 kicks from the Camille to kill JY. Unfortunately, at this point, Dawn is just too strong at the moment, and what can you do? I feel like J-Team is doing all the right things to accelerate the game into their favor, to make sure that they finish cleanly, that they make sure that T1 cannot reach the late game. Though we've seen up against Rix last time where it was constant early game pressure from Rix, but they deliver at the Elder Drake fight. And it's just only 13 minutes with this amount of gold. We talked about when you're up against T1, you gotta make sure that it's beyond 5K of that threshold of a gold lead. But I feel like for J-Team, do they even need that at this point with Dawn at this far ahead?
If you're a Korean fan, you're hoping that's not the case.
Yes.
You're hoping that T1 can look back to what made them successful in their clutch series against Rix 2 days ago, and if they can pull out something similar here against J-Team. But for those following the WRL, they have to be... I want to say they should have been expecting this awesome power, but still, you cannot watch this game and at least appreciate just how well J-Team has been able to play in the early game so far.
For sure. Their skirmish, their team fight, not as bombastic by tower diving pre-first spawn, but when the Rift Herald fight came, that's when they were truly, truly scary.
Now look at the insane control from J-Team as well. Everyone can press forward, and Dawn is just left to solo the dragon. Not even the jungler has to worry. Cherry can be left to his own devices, continue taking and stifling resources away from JY, because that is the ultimate win condition for Jax in any game mode. If you can get multiple items, every single power spike makes you even closer to raid boss status. But if you don't get the farm, and if you get engaged on from the other side of the team, then you don't get to succeed as the Jax. JY already lost 50% of his HP, has to get out of the fight on this one.
Everything is WCK.
Oh!
Yes!
We're back!
Woo!
Thank God!
Here we go!
We can get back to the jersey tier list later. In fact, you know what? If you guys have any suggestions at home, hit up at Wild Rift Esports on Twitter and send them your favorite jersey picks. Get the discussion going. But for now, it's back to the game. J-Team on the cusp of looking to close out this game. 6,000 gold ahead.
Yeah, a little bit of summary here for those of you who just joined us. Dawn is a monster right now. 615 can 1v3 everybody.
I think monster's an understatement here,
That's
to
true.
be honest.
What's bigger than monster?
Giga Monster.
We'll go with
Giga
that.
Chad!
Giga Chad!
Dawn is a Giga Chad,
yeah,
for sure.
let's go with that. Let's go with that.
Yeah!
There you go. But T1 still has a lot of scaling to go with, and we're at that point, 15 minutes.
DY getting jumped on, but says, hey guys, I'm Braum. I got a big shield. You can't do jack squat against me.
Oh, I got that. Jack's squat.
Oh, that...
Was that intentional?
No, but I'm flattered that you thought I was intentionally making a pun there. That was not my intention.
Whoops. Whoopsie. But still good one, Rafa.
That's a good whoopsie.
It is.
You know what? A happy accident.
Yeah, it is a happy accident. One thing that right now, 15 minutes, we talked about like the big summary of it all. What is T1's chance here? There is the Infernal Elder Drake still not alive, but that's a window that T1 wants to take. But J-Team is choking the map space right now to make sure that T1 doesn't have any room to work with.
I mean, talking about no room, they can't even get into their own jungle.
Nope, no,
They can't even get into the backyard. What if they wanted to play a game of catch?
Yeah, what if they want to cook barbecue? You know?
Nope, can't do that.
Can't.
The barbecue is off limits. T1 just forced into the encroaches of their outer rim of the base. They are only hanging on to one more tower, and during this whole time, toggle the fog of war, because there's no way that they have any idea that J-Team is doing it, but if T1 suspect that they do, they can't safely enter.
Yeah, it's going down really fast right now, and look at DY, she's going down everyone.
It's a desperate attempt from T1, a Hail Mary trying to answer back when they've taken so much damage from the Baron. JY has jumped onto the backline, but he has to get out scot-free, and now J-Team is on the hunt for this Jax. Dawn has hook shot available, looking for Hextech Ultimatum, but it's not on cooldown, so JY, he's not going to go down anytime soon, but he has nowhere else to run. T1 just looking to stall out the inevitable, and with the Elder Dragon still not spawning for a while, it isn't game over yet for T1, but J-Team are on the brink of closing it out.
Yeah, that's a lot of seconds gone for JY. That means J-Team has a lot of room to work with when it comes to sieging and maximizing this buff. We're looking at the 1-3-1 at the moment. How can T1 defend? We talked about their wave clear, and unfortunately against a Corki, it's not going to pan out too well.
Oh my god. Jerry, you're deep behind enemy lines. He wasn't expecting that the Wukong and Nimbus Strike was going to take him all the way back behind the inhibitor towers, but it doesn't seem like it even mattered because Penguin was the one that almost took the final blow.
Yeah, at this point, you get to see Pan as well, split pushing at top side. Every single tower is falling down. Slowly but surely, JY about to respawn. We'll see how they can defend this one.
Baron empowered minions striking forward through the mid lane, pounding at the top inhibitor. The inhibitor falls, leaving only one more through the dragon lane. It's going to be enough for J-Team to inflict massive psychic damage, as Grandin would say back at home, to T1.
Yeah, that's massive psychic damage. It's one of those things, how can you mitigate that psychic damage to take you to game number 2? Because this one is such a huge lead from J-Team. It felt like the game was over during that, after that Rift Peril fight rather, once Dawn got a massive amount of kills.
18 and a half minutes into the game, Riku. J-Team.
Yeah.
We knew that it would take a while for J-Team to close out this game, and we know that tendency for T1 to pull out a miracle play when it is at the Elder Dragon point. But I don't think T1 were down more than 10,000 gold when they were playing against Rix 2 days ago.
Yeah, I think that's the difficult part, right? There's 11k gold, an 11k gold deficit rather, and 17 seconds on the clock for the Elder Drake. This is complete control from J-Team. They have no vision whatsoever. They can't walk inside and face check these brushes, because who do you gotta meet? You gotta meet a monkey. You gotta meet this DY on this Braum that is able to just stun you and Glacial Fissure you in the face.
I don't want to meet the monkey, Riku.
No. You don't wanna. Gonna spin in front of you. Hook shot though from Dawn.
Dawn with the flank has found the Hextech Ultimatum onto the backline. T1 are in a world of danger and a world of hurt. J-Team inflicting the last and final blows against T1. The package comes in for second wind. Barry is there with the damage. Following up, Zhong is the last member to stand alongside Penguin, but they get routed off. And once again, it's a prime
Ace! Gaming! Ace!
J-Team striking first, taking game 1 against T1.
That was insane by J-Team. Complete domination from the very beginning. Rift Herald, complete control. And this time around, they basically choked every single resource away from T1 basically, and it was just so difficult for all of these scaling.
Renekton, Jax, that was the one I was trying to think of. It was Renekton, Jax, and the Brom is very, very good at being defensive and stopping kind of that initial engage.
Yeah, and Hells, you know, I'm thinking on the side of T, we talked about the side of T1, J-Team, I feel like all they have to do is, you know, they just keep going. It feels like, you know, again, these Chinese teams are very, very prepared. J-Team is prepared as well, and I don't think this is even their best picks. They're just warming up.
That's what it feels like indeed. Their draft, however, was amazing because indeed they picked the Braum and they comboed the Lucian with it. Lucian with the 2 attacks. You can get an instant stun out of it. And the gold graph right there showed the story, right? First 5 minutes, nothing happened. And then and there, no more mistakes from J-Team. Just boom, 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 win, win, win after win. So T1 really has to ramp up their game, right? Like their draft may be okay. Like there's really no major problems with their draft. But here you can see it, right? 1 tower. They've taken 1 tower and that's it. They lost every single dragon. They lost every single... They just lost everything. This cannot happen again.
And the Brom was actually the last pick as well, which is quite an interesting one. You know, when you're against a Jace, when you're against a Jax, and also the Renekton, there's not really much that them champions can do. When you have a Brom sitting in front of you with the shield, and the